What if silence, in the face of anger, was not a sign of weakness, but the ultimate display of power? What if the words you choose not to speak could build a fortress of inner peace that no insult could ever breach? This is the path of Stoic self-mastery, a journey from heated reaction to tranquil strength. Never speak when angry again. Inner Balance, Stoic Lesson, compiled and published by Stoic Ruler. Lesson 1. The fire beneath calm faces. Imagine a serene, snow-capped volcano, its peak placid against a clear blue sky. To an observer, it is the very image of tranquility, yet deep within its core a ferocious fire churns, a colossal reservoir of molten rock and immense pressure. This is the inner state of so many of us who try to manage our anger. We present a calm, placid face to the world, while deep beneath the surface, a magma of resentment, frustration, and rage churns relentlessly. This is the inner conflict, the exhausting battle to maintain an illusion of composure while being consumed from within. The problem is that this unacknowledged fire does not simply vanish. It builds pressure, seeking fissures and weak points, until it inevitably erupts in a devastating explosion that surprises everyone, including ourselves. The pain is the profound sense of being a stranger to our own inner world. Living in fear of an eruption we feel powerless to prevent. The transformative solution is not to deny the fire, but to acknowledge its existence with the calm respect of a seasoned geologist. It is the practice of honest self-awareness, the courage to look into the volcano's core and understand the nature of the energy within. The core Stoic idea is that we cannot manage what we do not acknowledge. By turning our attention inward, we can study the heat, feel the pressure, and understand the source of our inner fire without judgment. This act of courageous observation is the first step toward preventing the eruption. It transforms us from being a terrified inhabitant of a dangerous landscape to being its wise and vigilant steward. To begin this practice of inner geology, you must learn to listen to the subtle tremors that precede an eruption. Anger rarely appears from nowhere. It is preceded by the lower-level rumblings of irritation, annoyance, and frustration. Your task is to become sensitive to these initial signals. When you feel a flicker of annoyance, do not dismiss it. Pause and acknowledge it. You might silently say to yourself, "There's fire here. There is pressure building." This simple act of recognition shines a light on the process. It brings the unconscious churning into the realm of the conscious, where you have the power to engage with it thoughtfully instead of being consumed by it blindly. The benefit of this practice is a profound sense of inner integrity and self-knowledge. The fear of your own anger begins to subside, replaced by a quiet confidence in your ability to manage your inner world. The positive transformation is from living on a ticking time bomb to residing in a place of immense, understood power. You are no longer at war with your own nature, but are learning to work with its powerful energies. Your call to action is to become an observer of your own inner tremors today. When you feel that first spark of irritation, simply notice it without judgment. This is the continuous journey of becoming the master of your own volcano. Once we acknowledge the fire, we must understand the true price of letting it erupt. Our next lesson will explore the devastating hidden costs of our instant reactions. To continue this essential work of self-mastery, please subscribe to Stoic Ruler and like this video if you are ready to face the fire within. Lesson 2. The cost of instant reaction. Imagine dropping a heavy stone into a perfectly still glass-like pond. In the instant of impact, there's a dramatic, satisfying splash. This is the moment of angry release, the satisfaction of speaking your mind in the heat of the moment. But the true story is not in the splash. It is in the ripples that spread outward, disturbing every inch of the pond's surface, muddying the clear water, and reaching shores you never intended to touch. The inner conflict is that our mind, in a moment of anger, focuses only on the tempting satisfaction of the splash. The problem is that we willfully ignore the inevitable, far-reaching consequences of the ripples. The pain is discovered later in the cold light of day when we survey the damage, the trust that has been broken, the relationships that have been strained, and the self-respect that has been tarnished by our momentary loss of control. The splash is over in a second. The ripples can last a lifetime. The transformative solution is to develop the foresight of a sage, to train your mind to see past the immediate gratification of the splash and to calculate the full cost of the ripples. The core Stoic principle here is that a wise person considers the consequences of their actions before they act. Seneca advised that when we get angry, we should not only consider the harm we might do, but the harm we are certainly doing to our own character. An instant, angry reaction is a trade. We are purchasing a fleeting moment of emotional release at the exorbitant price of our long-term peace and integrity. The wise person recognizes this as a fool's bargain and refuses to make the trade. To put this principle into practice, you must weaponize the power of the pause. When you feel the impulse to speak in anger, you must force yourself to envision the ripples. In that sacred space you create with a single breath, ask yourself a series of sobering questions. If I say what I want to say right now, what will the consequences be in 1 hour? In 1 day? In 1 week? Will this action build the life and relationships I want, or will it tear them down? This act of projecting yourself into the future is a powerful antidote to the short-sightedness of anger. It replaces the hot emotional calculus of the moment with the cool, rational logic of long-term well-being. The benefit of mastering this foresight is the preservation of your most valuable assets, your relationships, your reputation, and your own self-respect. You will begin to operate not on the volatile stock market of daily emotions, but on the gold standard of enduring character. The positive transformation is from being an impulsive child who constantly breaks their own toys to becoming a wise adult who builds and protects things of lasting value. Your motivational practice is to reflect on a past angry outburst. Trace the ripples. Write down the full cost of that single splash. Keeping this memory vivid is a powerful deterrent for the future. This is the continuous journey of learning to respect the power you wield. We see the cost, but why do we feel so compelled to react? Our next lesson dissects the nature of emotions, revealing a truth that can set you free. They are not commands. If you wish to protect your pawn from unnecessary turmoil, subscribe and share your thoughts below. Lesson 3. Emotions are not commands. Imagine a wise and powerful king seated on his throne. At his feet sits a court jester, a creature of pure impulse, prone to dramatic pronouncements, wild accusations, and fearful whispers. The jester is your emotion. The king is your reason. The inner conflict that defines the struggle for self-mastery is that too often we mistake the jester's frantic shrieks for the king's royal command. When the jester of anger screams, "Attack! You have been wronged!" we immediately draw our sword. When the jester of fear whispers, "Flee, we are in danger," we immediately turn and run. The problem is that the jester is a terrible ruler. A kingdom governed by impulse and emotion is a kingdom of chaos, regret, and self-destruction. The pain is the exhausting life of being a servant to the whims of a foolish, unpredictable master. The transformative solution is a revolution in your inner kingdom. To gently but firmly remove the crown from the jester's head and place it back upon the head of the king. It is the profound and liberating realization that emotions are not commands. They are merely suggestions. They are pieces of information, often biased and dramatic, offered up by the jester for the king's consideration. The core Stoic idea is that you, your reasoning mind, are the true ruler of your inner world. You have the ultimate authority to listen to the jester's counsel, thank him for his input, and then make a calm, deliberate decision based on wisdom and virtue. To put this principle into practice, you must cultivate the habit of conscious dissent. When a powerful emotion like anger arises and issues its command, you must learn to pause and say, "That is a suggestion, not an order." This simple phrase is an act of profound rebellion against the tyranny of emotion. It creates a space for the king to step forward and assess the situation. You can then cross-examine the jester's advice. Is this suggestion helpful? Is it true? Does it align with my long-term goals and values? By filtering the emotion's impulse through the sieve of reason, you reclaim your power and your throne. The benefit of this inner revolution is freedom. You are no longer a slave to your own feelings. You can experience the full spectrum of human emotion, including anger, without being compelled to act on it destructively. The positive transformation is from being a chaotic kingdom ruled by a jester to being a calm, orderly, and powerful kingdom ruled by a wise and benevolent king. Your practice exercise is to spend the day noticing the commands issued by your emotions. When you feel a pang of jealousy, a surge of irritation, or a wave of anxiety, simply label it internally. A suggestion has been made. This is the continuous process of remembering who is truly in charge. The gesture of anger is particularly convincing because it has a powerful ally: confusion. Our next lesson will explore how anger clouds the mind, making it impossible to rule wisely. To continue your training as a wise ruler, subscribe to Stoic Ruler. Lesson 4. How anger clouds the mind. Imagine you are a ship's captain navigating a treacherous coastline filled with hidden rocks and dangerous shoals. Your most vital tool is your sight, your ability to see clearly to the horizon. Now imagine a thick, impenetrable fog suddenly rolls in, reducing your visibility to mere feet. Anger is this fog. It descends upon the mind with startling speed, completely obscuring the landscape of reality. The inner conflict is our foolish attempt to continue navigating at full speed, even when we are completely blind. When the fog of anger envelops us, we insist on making sharp turns, issuing complex orders, and speaking with absolute authority. The problem is that every action taken and every word spoken from within this fog is a guess, a gamble, an act of blind navigation. The pain is the inevitable shipwreck, the crash against the rocks of reality that we were too blind to see, a disaster of our own making. The transformative solution is as simple as it is profound. When the fog of anger descends, the wise captain drops anchor. You must adopt a sacred rule. You do not speak, you do not decide, you do not act until the fog has lifted. The core Stoic idea, expressed with great clarity by philosophers like Seneca, is that anger is a form of temporary madness. It fundamentally impairs our most precious faculty, our reason. It distorts perception, clouds judgment, and makes wise decision-making impossible. Recognizing this is not a sign of weakness, but of supreme practical wisdom. The smartest thing to do when you cannot see is to stop moving. To put this life-saving rule into practice, you must learn to recognize the first signs of the fog rolling in. It is a feeling of heat, a narrowing of focus, a quickening of the pulse. When you feel these sensations, you must treat them as an emergency alarm signaling. Fog ahead. Drop anchor. Your anchor is silence. Your anchor is stillness. You must physically remove yourself from the situation if possible. If you are in a conversation, you can say, "I need a moment to think about this before I respond." This is not an act of surrender. It is an act of supreme captaincy. You are protecting your ship, your crew, and your voyage from certain disaster. The benefit of this discipline is the complete prevention of anger-induced catastrophes. You will save yourself from the immense regret that follows words spoken and actions taken in a state of madness. The positive transformation is from being a reckless captain who constantly wrecks their own ships to becoming a wise mariner, respected for their ability to navigate any weather with patience and skill. Your call to action is to make a solemn vow to yourself today. I will no longer attempt to navigate in the fog. Visualize this commitment. See the fog, feel the impulse to speak, and then see yourself calmly, resolutely dropping anchor. This is the continuous journey of choosing clarity over chaos. Dropping anchor requires strength. But where does this strength come from? Our next lesson reveals how the proactive practice of stillness can build the inner armor that keeps the fog at bay. If you wish to become a master of your vessel, like this video, and join our crew by subscribing. Lesson 5. Stillness as inner armor. Imagine a knight preparing for a great tournament. He does not show up to the joust in his daily clothes and hope to find a suit of armor lying on the field. He spends hours beforehand, meticulously polishing, fitting, and strengthening his armor, knowing that it is his primary defense against the inevitable blows to come. Anger and insult are the lances of daily life. The inner conflict is that we repeatedly ride into the tournament of our day, completely unarmored, and then act surprised, when a blow unseats us. The problem is that we treat calm as something to be found after we get angry, rather than a state to be cultivated before we are provoked. The pain is our constant emotional vulnerability, the feeling of being bruised and battered by encounters that a properly armored individual would barely notice. The transformative solution is to understand that stillness is your inner armor, and it must be forged and fitted every single day, long before the battle begins. The core Stoic principle is that resilience is not a passive quality, but an active, daily practice. Just as a knight builds physical strength through training, we must build our mental and emotional strength through a dedicated practice of stillness. This proactive cultivation of a calm inner state creates a buffer, a protective layer that absorbs the initial shock of a provocation, preventing it from piercing our peace and triggering a reactive cascade. To forge this inner armor, you must schedule a daily appointment with stillness. This is your personal armory. This practice can be as simple as spending 5 minutes every morning, sitting in silence before the day's demands begin. It could be a brief mindfulness meditation where you focus on the sensation of your breath. It could be a quiet walk in nature with no phone and no destination. The specific activity is less important than the intention. To deliberately cease all external input and allow your nervous system to settle into its natural state of quiet alertness. During this time, you are not trying to stop thoughts. You are simply polishing your armor, building your capacity to remain centered when the lances of life eventually come your way. The benefit of this daily discipline is the development of a resilient, non-reactive disposition. You will find that the small annoyances that used to trigger you now glance off your armor harmlessly. You will possess a reservoir of calm that you can draw upon when faced with greater challenges. The positive transformation is from being a fragile, unarmored participant in life to becoming a calm, centered, and powerful knight, able to engage with the world from a position of profound inner security. Your motivational practice is to schedule your 5 minutes in the armory for tomorrow morning. Put it in your calendar. Treat it as the most important preparation for your day. This is the continuous process of building an unbreakable inner defense. Once armored, we are better able to handle the powerful energy of anger. Our next lesson explores how to transform this volatile heat into a source of focused clarity. To continue forging your armor, subscribe to Stoic Ruler. Lesson 6, Channeling Heat into Clarity. Imagine the raw, immense heat of the sun. Left unfocused, it can scorch the earth and spark destructive wildfires. But when that same solar energy is focused through a magnifying lens, it can be concentrated into a powerful, precise beam, capable of creating fire with intention or generating immense power. Anger is this solar heat. The inner conflict is our tendency to let this powerful energy erupt as a destructive, unfocused wildfire of rage. The problem is that in doing so, we waste one of the most potent sources of energy we possess. We allow it to destroy rather than create. The pain is not only the damage we cause, but the squandered opportunity, the recognition that a powerful force for change was wasted on a fleeting, destructive outburst. The transformative solution is to become a master lens crafter, to learn how to channel the raw heat of your anger into a focused beam of clarity and motivation. This is a high-level Stoic art. It is not about suppressing the anger, but about harnessing its energy. The core idea is that emotions are energy. Anger, in particular, is a signal that a boundary has been crossed or an injustice has occurred. While acting from the initial hot rage is folly, we can allow the heat to cool slightly and then use the remaining potent energy as fuel to address the underlying problem with focused, rational determination. To practice this emotional alchemy, you must first follow the rule of dropping anchor until the fog of immediate rage has lifted. Once the initial blinding heat has subsided, you can then pick up the energy that remains. Ask yourself, what is this energy telling me? What problem does it want me to solve? If your anger was triggered by an injustice, channel that energy into a clear, well-reasoned plan to address it. If it was triggered by a personal failure, channel that heat into a disciplined commitment to improve. You are transforming the chaotic, emotional heat into the focused, determined drive for productive action. The benefit of this practice is that you turn a potential liability into a powerful asset. You will find that some of your most focused and productive work comes from the energy you have skillfully channeled from a place of initial anger. The positive transformation is from being a person who is burned by their own inner fire to becoming a master smith who uses that fire to forge meaningful change in their life and the world. Your call to action is to reflect on the last time you were angry. What problem was that anger signaling? How could you have channeled its energy into a focused, clear solution instead of a destructive outburst? This is the continuous journey of learning to harness your own power. Harnessing this energy is the final step before the most important one. Our last lesson brings us to the ultimate practical rule for a life of inner balance. If you are ready to become a master of your inner fire, please like this video and share your thoughts. Lesson 7. Speak only when peaceful inside. Imagine a deep well filled with fresh, clear water. If you violently stir the bottom of the well, the water becomes a muddy, undrinkable mess. To get a clean drink, you do not need to add anything to the well. You simply need to wait with patience for the mud to settle, allowing the water to return to its natural state of clarity. Your words are the water you offer to the world from the well of your mind. The inner conflict is our desperate impatience. When the mud of anger is stirred up within us, we insist on speaking immediately, drawing up a bucket of cloudy, bitter water and offering it to others, surprised when they refuse to drink. The problem is that words drawn from a disturbed mind can only cause disturbance. They are imprecise, hurtful, and always counterproductive. The pain is the perpetual misunderstanding and conflict that arises from speaking with a muddy mind. The transformative solution is to adopt a simple, sacred, and life-altering rule. Speak only when you are peaceful inside. It is the discipline of the wise well-keeper who understands that clarity cannot be rushed. It requires waiting for the sediment of emotion to settle. The core Stoic principle here is that our speech should be a reflection of our highest self, our clear, rational, and virtuous mind. To speak from a place of anger is to allow our lowest, most chaotic self to represent us. The rule of silence until peace returns is the ultimate safeguard for our relationships, our integrity, and our own tranquility. It ensures that the water we offer the world is always clean. To live by this golden rule, you must develop a profound respect for the power of silence. Silence is not weakness. It is the crucible in which a wise response is forged. When you are angry, your first duty is to your own inner peace. Your commitment must be to stillness, to breathing, to whatever practice allows the mud to settle. You must trust that any conversation worth having will still be worth having when you are calm. In fact, it will be the only time it is worth having. This requires the courage to tell someone, "I cannot speak about this right now. I will come back to you when I can think more clearly." This is an act of immense strength and respect for both yourself and the other person. The benefit of this ultimate discipline is a life remarkably free of verbal regret. Your communication will become incredibly effective because your words will be clear, intentional, and constructive. You will build a reputation as a person of immense poise and wisdom. The positive transformation is the culmination of our journey. You become a source of clarity and peace in a noisy, chaotic world. You become the keeper of a deep, clear well. Your final and most important practice is to make this rule your own. Take a vow to never again speak from a place of active anger. Let silence be your trusted guardian. This is the continuous, noble path to inner balance. Today, we have learned to acknowledge the fire within, to calculate the cost of our reactions, and to forge the inner armor of stillness. By committing to speak only from a place of inner peace, you reclaim your power and integrity. Thank you for walking this path of Stoic mastery. If these lessons have provided you with value, please like this video, share your commitment in the comments, and subscribe to Stoic Ruler for a life of unshakable calm.